But it's all about learning and kind of going and gaining that knowledge as well. If you get a fake Rolex, for example, like what are you learning about it? That it looks like another Rolex. That's what you're learning, But you can also learn pretty quickly that people can cause you as fake. If somebody finds out that it's a fake, it talks a lot about your character. You only get like your full satisfaction through God, not through material things. When you're getting the abundance of money, like it doesn't mean anything to you. Then you're always searching because now that hole is not fulfilled, right?
Welcome back, everybody, to the DC Talks podcast with David Chinelli. We're back again for a brand new episode. Mr. DC.
What's up, brother?
Doing good, man. Doing good. You know what's been on my mind lately?
No, why don't you tell us?
I'll tell you what's been on my mind. I feel like we live in a microwave society.
A microwave society?
Micro society.
Has to be done now?
Has to be done now, right? We need our desires gratified immediately.
I'm part of the problem. Okay.
Yeah. When I get an Uber, boom, right here. Airbnb, everything has been given to us on a platter that we wanted to apply in other areas of our lives.
Why is that a problem, Owen?
I think when you want things really fast, it makes you not appreciate the process of getting there.
Bingo.
Right? And I wanted to discuss this with you because you're someone I look up to, and
why?
He's like, do you really know who I am?
Oh, damn. You've known me for like 3 years now.
Yeah,
You still do that? Oh,
yeah,
shit.
I still look up to you, So I wanted to discuss this with you because I'm like, you're my big bro and you have more wisdom than me. And I kind of want to get your take.
Because I'm old.
Exactly. Why do you think this delayed gratification is a problem for us today?
You mean the lack of delayed
delayed gratification?
Yeah, even Charlie Kirk talked about it. I was saying this offline. I was like thinking about it, like somebody who, masturbates all the time too. It's like you should be saving for your wife because building up that time
that
for
vitality.
your wife, like you go through struggles. It builds up character. Mm-hmm. Is what he was saying, and I kind of thought about that too. And it's like you're not giving into desires and flesh. It shows a character of a person that's able to delay gratification, and then once you get it, enjoying every moment of it, right? Like I remember we had a question we were saying before, like before Google was invented, right? Finding out an answer to a question it would take sometimes a while. Like you have to go look up research, and then you find the answer. It's like aha. See, or proving a point. Imagine arguing with my wife.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to go to the library. I'm going to take all these books. I'm going to read for 15 hours. I'm going to come back and say, aha, there's the answer, right? And delay, but you put all the work in. Now it's like, hey, Google, do this. But I think it's also making us dumber. We have more information than we've ever had before, but nothing's actually settling in. And actually, we don't retain a lot of the information that's out there. I think that's also a form of instant gratification that is also lacking. I think we're getting dumber.
So the more access that we've been able to get, the more we demand things and the more it's actually doing more harm. So you think that getting more access to things makes you more, efficient. It makes you more happier because, everything is coming on a dime, but it's actually doing the reverse because it's psychologically messing up the way God intended you to be, because you're meant to live a life that is worth living, that comes with a lot of experiences. There's one quote I saw with this gentleman where this one guy goes around interviewing all these millionaires across the different places up in the States. And he asked, hey, when's the first time you became a millionaire? He was like 39, right? He's like, how old are you now? He's like, I'm 40. Oh, so you just became a millionaire like last year? He's like, yeah. It's like, how do you become a millionaire? I'm a spine surgeon. He's like, how does it feel being a millionaire now? Because typically, and this kid's young, he's like 23. It's like, there's a lot of young millionaires. He's like, you know what? I actually enjoyed the days I did not have the millions because, he said, Churchill said, the view at the mountaintop is beautiful because of the time it took to climb that mountain. And it's like, how's it feel? It's like, it feels good, but I actually would say that the time I took to went to school, to do my MD and do everything, that gave me way worth more wisdom than money can buy.
And I'll relate this to sports and real estate is the same thing. Like I've seen before, like guys get traded at the trade deadline, for example, and they go to a team and they win some sort of championship within and they say guys don't even play. They're sitting right in the bench. All of a sudden, You win a Stanley Cup in NHL. There's guys who've been in our careers for 20 years, been struggling on the same team, trying to build up a team, never got to that. And then you finally, I'll give you Ovechkin, for example, like he was struggling with that with Washington, got close so many times. When he won that cup, it was all those blood, sweat, and tears. And he brought it to Washington, still on the same team. It mattered so much. And he's like, I say, I won like 3 cups. I'm like, yeah, but I barely played it. Like, it doesn't mean anything.
When you look at those rings, they don't really hit the same as opposed to Ovechkin's one ring.
And like, so that's why I also don't like LeBron James. He kept jumping ship. He went to a super team and just to win a cup. I'm like, that wasn't the process, right? Like, if he would have won his first championship with the Cavaliers because he helped build that franchise, like Michael Jordan did, right?
Michael Jordan, Chicago was crap,
and he made him a franchise. He made them a franchise. He had to change the way he was playing, the way he was interacting with other people. Remember in the beginning, Jordan was all offense, right? He didn't play any defense. He didn't give a shit. And he realized that doesn't win championships. So the coach sat him aside. And then when Phil Jackson came in, also changed it. If you haven't watched the Last Dance, it was phenomenal. But again, like the delayed gratification. Imagine you hear guys all the time coming into a league and winning a championship right away, but they don't know what the meaning is. It doesn't have the same feel. And other guys, I remember one guy, I forget what it was, and he won a Stanley Cup. He won his first year, and he goes, yeah, it was exciting. He goes, but it took me 20 more years to get back to here. And he goes, now I understand. Now this matters. So I also relate this now to real estate. Like one of the reasons why I do like a mentorship and for here, when I say our team and stuff too, they're not on a team per se. Like what happens in a regular real estate team is that you're part of the team. You're part of the team, right? You come into a team, but you have to give up 30, 40, 50% of all the deals you do, and it goes under the team name, right? And it's like, so you're building up a brand, which didn't take all the years for you to build, but you're adding to it, but you actually don't get your own name out of it. You don't get the recognition. So for example, if I was to build a team right now, like I've become my team, like I won, like again, I'm already at executive circle this year, which is like this, I'm trying to get to that 1 top percent always, right? But I'm already there. Like, so it's a hard feat. I'm the top 1.5 nationally because top 2% is a red diamond. But anyway, it's up and nationally recognized. Well, if somebody coming in who hasn't even done a deal, but they're technically under my team, they get the same award as me. It's under my name, but they don't give a shit about that. It's like, they didn't go through the 10 or 11 years I took to get to that point. It's actually, I find it's a detriment to them to have the team per se. Instead, I say to them, you can, on the mentorship program, I don't charge them as much as these other guys. There's like a sliding scale goes down. And on top of that, you get to keep your own name because I want you to build your own name.
Your own brand.
I want you to go through remember the struggles. I want you to remember to build your own brand. Then you don't have to roll. And you're also not relying on me for any of that stuff. Like I want you to stay with the team because I want you to be part of this community that we help build together. And there's a community. I don't want people here that don't want to be here. Right? So it's a delayed gratification, that kind of sense as well. Think about that because instead of all of a sudden coming team, like I've seen people do all the time, they go to another team and all of a sudden we call it the chairman's top award. I look at them like, you didn't even do a deal last year yet. Now you get the best award. Mm-hmm. Like, where do you go from here now? Mm-hmm. You've done nothing. What's pushing you?
What's the motivation?
What's your motivation?
Where's your hunger coming
exactly, from? Exactly. Right. Yeah. It's like the same thing. Like you see a hot girl going and it's like, it turns out to be a hooker. She's the most beautiful woman in the world. Like, well, I'm going to pay him. I'm going to have sex with him. Like, where's the wooing? Like, is that like, that's just all flesh. Does that mean anything to you? It's like,
it's empty.
It's totally empty. Right.
Yeah.
And then another a guy that's who's not as good looking as you stuff does the same thing. It's like, it demeans it. Right. It just, so we're definitely in a culture now. It's like, it's all about me and it's all about my needs and what I need right the F now.
Yeah. And we've mentioned this before where the aspect of giving second place trophies, third place trophies, specifically from a very young age, it's ruining the development of these youth. You know, it's insane. There's something I wanted to bring up to you, right? This is something called the Marshmallow Test. So
the Marshmallow Test.
The Marshmallow Test.
You're gonna be hungry. You haven't eaten yet.
Right. So this was conducted by psychologist Walter Miskell in the 1960s, 70s. So children were given one marshmallow and they were told if they waited 15 minutes without eating it, they'd get 2 marshmallows, right? And, summarize it. So the results show that children who delayed gratification generally had a better life outcomes. They had higher SAT scores. They had better health. They had a greater social level of competence, right? So they knew how to talk to people. They knew what it took to study for the SATs and get better and get smarter. They had a better taste of what it means to earn something based on merit and not just here.
That reminds me of like, well, I don't want to say the hip hop culture, but I would say like the drug culture, like, you know, the gang culture, let's call it, because that's all about making the Benjamins right away and getting paid right now. But their life is cut short most of the time because they're with dealing with violence. But it's like, well, I don't know if I'm like, and you've heard these stands, we watch the movies and, you know, all this stuff. It's like, well, tomorrow's not guaranteed. Might as well live my life now. And it's like, no, man. It's like, if you got out of that life, you can live a long life. It may take you a little bit longer to earn the things, but you're earning what you earn, right? I had this, on a different level, like I had my buddy of mine ask, because, you know, I have a couple of nice watches. Like I have nice watches and stuff too. And he asked me about my Rolexes and stuff. And I was like, he goes, do you have any fake ones? I'm like, and he goes, no, they have some really good ones. He goes, I'm debating about buying a fake Rolex. I'm like, what's the point of that? You just want to show it out. I'm like, you don't buy a Rolex because, or you don't buy a Patek, you don't buy like a higher end flat. Yeah, you don't buy those things because you don't, maybe some people buy because they want the elderly people, no, but I think buying those things for me are trophies. It's like, it's something I've earned it to that certain thing. And it's like, it's also Rolexes and Pateks and those kind of like nice high end watches, some Seikos. If you ever need money, you can sell them.
Mm-hmm. They increase in value too. Yeah.
But when I remember getting my first one, it had so much meaning because I was like the highest money I've ever earned. It was like, and it was, I remember in the middle of the year, and then like, no, but a Rolex is just kind of showing somebody instant gratification. Like, I can't really afford this, but I'm going to pretend like I'm going to afford this because it makes me look like I'm a baller.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of the same idea, right? It's like instantly, but that watch has no value, and it has no value on paper either.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely has no value in your heart or your mind. So what's the point of that? Like, you didn't actually struggle for that. And I know he like watching, like there's a couple that he wants. I'm like, he goes, that's what I thought. He goes, I just kind of want to earn it. It's not, it's more of a community and stuff and people that know it. I'm like, absolutely.
It's like when you're in that community with people, like for example, Ariana's dad, I know he's a big Rolex guy, and you try to talk to him about Rolex and you have a fake Rolex. I can imagine he's just going to spot you from a mile away. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about.
I don't have a clue. Yeah. And I'm still learning about this stuff too. And I'm like nowhere near. So we had another friend at the wedding and stuff too, and he's got like a shitload of watches, and another friend too. They're going off stuff. I have to tell them again. I'm like, listen, I'm not on the same level. I'm like, I don't know about, like, I don't research all this stuff. I'm like, I'm just learning about it. I just got into this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'm also smart enough to buy too much of that shit because it's like, you can go broke real fast.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all about learning and kind of going like, and gaining that knowledge as well. If you get a fake Rolex, for example, like, what are you learning about it?
Mm-hmm.
That it looks like another Rolex. That's what you're learning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you can also learn pretty quickly that people can cause you as fake. If somebody finds out that it's a fake,
it looks like a fraud.
It talks a lot about your character.
Yes, it does.
It's, and that's what we're saying. It's like, well, you care more about outwardly what people think about you than what you feel about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. There's one time I was even talking to a friend of mine, and this is like when, you know, you're getting started in business and, you know, you have big dreams of accomplishing great like things in business. And, he's just like, man, like, I'd rather just win the lottery, bro. Like, why not just get 50 mil right now and just call it a day? I was like, but man, like, I like the climb. And to me, if I won the lotto, I'm not going to say I'm not going to be happy. I'll definitely be happy, right? Because at least you have some
Someone
sense.
was saying in the Bible that's against the God that actually doesn't want you to win the lotto, but I remember saying like they were reading into it. But anyway, I get it.
But anyways, like, you don't really feel the gratification of what it took to make that money. I think it would feel the same way as having no money, because you're like, after you buy everything that you want to buy, let's say you take the trip, you buy the car, you're like, okay, I don't really have a true, and this is me talking like without the $50 million, but I'm just making an assumption. But am I right in making that assumption that
it doesn't mean anything? They're meaningless because at the end of the day, like, not to get like spiritual on you too, but you only get like your full satisfaction through God, not through material things. When you're getting the abundance of money, like, it doesn't mean anything to you. Then you're always searching because now that hole is not fulfilled, right? So could you use that money to do something else to fulfill you? Sure. Like, so if you win a lottery, like I always said, if I won a lottery, I'd rather win like $2 million, not like 400 million. And it's like, because I can use that money and make investments and purchase some properties and actually put it towards if I made 10 million or whatever it is, I can give some of it away to some of my families that might need it, but I could take some of that as like an investment. I can build and then watch that grow. But the smaller amount, because it's just a little bit bump up, but not to a point that it changes your life, right? Because then also when you win that much money, people come after you. They also want instant gratification. They just want a piece of it. Like, how come you can't give
Like,
this
you
to
got
me?
it for free. Like, give me some of it.
And then it changes your life and not in a good way, right? It just,
with 2 million, you're still in the game,
yeah.
right? You still maintain.
But then you have other guys that are like, this is also the situation where not even people winning like the lotto, but like there's other people, you've heard of people like in the Middle East stuff that they gain so much wealth very quickly that money just keeps coming in, the money has no more meaning to them, right? But it came so fast to them, or they've always had it loses the intrinsic value to them. Like they're not the intrinsic value. So it loses the value to them. And it's like, so it seemed like a guy just paid like $4 million to have a gold Ferrari. I'm like, well, what else am I going to spend my money on? Like, again, it loses some of the shine because they made it quickly. They didn't continue to work at it. Now, if you sold a whole bunch of stuff and then starts to build, like that's why some billionaires make more. They continue to make billions and billions. One of them say because it's like, well, I don't want to go back to being poor. But the other one will say something along the lines of like, no, I like the whole process. I can make more risk, but I can lose everything. I like doing the process. And that was what, and then when they make a certain amount, they just get rid of it. They
donate it.
But
philanthropic stuff.
That's why they always have pet projects, right? A lot of millionaires or billionaires have these projects in which they put their time and effort because when that means more to them than the money that comes into it. Because once the money starts, maybe in the beginning, that money, that vehicle they had a lot of meaning to them, but then sometimes their companies go exponentially and then they're making more money. It's like, well, now what do I do? Right. And that's,
you got to find a new thing to play the game with.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Exactly.
It's interesting because as someone in his mid-30s, I can see how delayed gratification plays in my life because you're playing the comparison trap because, you're young, you're seeing some other people who are getting
it's cute that you think you're still young. Sorry, but I had to
still a young buck, but you're playing the comparison trap between people who are now getting established.
Never play the comparison trap.
I'm not saying I am, but there's moments I have. I'll admit that. Like you're looking at other people, but also
we do it too.
You do it too, and this is what I was going with. As you're getting older into your 40s, 50s, and 60s, there's some people who might not be where they want to be at that age, and now they're looking at their peers, and by that age, you're supposed to have X, Y, and Z, and they don't have that. In your experience, have you seen acquaintances, friends, and people that expedite that process to try and
I've
look?
also seen family and friends, they felt they had to do a certain thing, so they went through the motions and ended up leading to divorce, like infidelity, everything else. It's just because it wasn't the right time. It wasn't God's path for them, but they tried to force because they were doing the comparison. I need to get married by I'm 30. I need to this guy, I've been dating him for so long. I need to get him married. And it blows up in your face because of comparison. We have another friend of ours, like Natalie and her friends are all getting engaged. Well, she got engaged too. And I was like, are you happy? No, because everybody else was doing it. They did that. It is the worst possible
to fit in.
It just, yeah, exactly. We want to fit in. I feel like I have to do this. You got to remember, God has a path for you and for you and an individual. Everybody is different. You don't fit the same path as I do. So why are you comparing yourself? Like, don't compare our paths. It might be hard in the beginning. But you could also, the trajectory can go up for you, but it might be a longer road, right? It just might be flat, and this obviously go up. Well, this person might be going up like this, but your trajectory could be, in 10 years could be much higher than, but you're putting the work in, you're putting the effort in, and you will get the gratification later on and enjoy it, right?
Mm-hmm. Then
we're also talking about, it was back to the sheiks. There's actually sexual depravity I wanted to talk about as well, because people all of a sudden, when they get so much, it's like, same with money. When they get it, they just, it just gets out of control. And at some point, regular sex doesn't, this is why the fetishes and stuff come in. This is why, holding off, not always giving in to yourself and all this sexual desire, it just leads to worse and worse and worse stuff, right? So was Ariana telling me, or another friend, I was watching on TikTok where it's out on TikTok, and this girl had another friend who was a stripper, and she kept going to Dubai, and she's like, every time she'd come back, she'd have tons of money and stuff too, and everything else. She's like, she'd take her over, and she goes, hey, I want to come with you, and her face was went white. She goes, next time you go, she goes, it's not what you think. And she goes,
This is her friend.
This is her friend. She goes, so they'll take them she goes, I get taken to a spot, like have like multiple guys, 10, 15 guys, and they're not just having sex with me. Each one of them is shitting and peeing
defecating on me. Yeah.
And she goes, and I think you saw the video, and this is how they get the money. And she goes, sure, you get paid like $200,000. But so her, meaning like she's getting that money, right? But think about the depravity she has to go through. Well, think about the guys doing that. That's how they get sexual gratification. Like, what did you go through
to get to
that level? That's what gets you off.
That gets you off. Like crapping on.
Right? Like.
That is sickening.
Like, I can't imagine looking at my wife going, you know what you need today? A nice steamy piece of poop on your chest. Like, you know what I mean? Or me peeing on your mouth or something. Like, that's my wife. Like, I'm like, that's the only way I can get off. I'm like, what brought you to that point?
Like, there's not about, like, what, like, you know, there's this quote that everyone says, everybody has a price. Have you heard that term before?
Yeah, I've heard it.
Right? Like, some girls' price is $20K. Like,
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, and you don't know what people will do when you put a number in front of them. I know it's so hard to hear that, but like that's the reality of it. You know, if you go down that number, it's like, what do you do for 100K, 2 million, 10 million?
Well, that's that whole movie. Remember Indecent Proposal back in the day?
Yeah.
I think Demi Moore was in that, or with I forget who she was with, and it was like $1 million sleep with your wife, and it's like I can't remember. I watched it all, but I remember. I think the end of the day was like when they actually went through with it. It's like they couldn't look at each other in the face again. It was like. You just paid, like you basically prostitute
your
yourself.
Dignity is, it's just that you can't, that's one of the things you mentioned there. No matter how much money they're going to give you. And when you go to bed at night and you think about the things you had to go through that you know are not really aligned with your true values and your true nature, whenever you spend that money, in my opinion, it's not going to be enjoyable because you know what you did. And I think this is what happens when you also do crime too.
100%.
To get certain things, when you rob people, when you take the shortcut to get certain things, when you go to bed at night, I think the mental trap, like the slavery you get, like when you're just trapped in your mind of, man, I can't believe I did this to get this. I think you're forever tainted. Like, I think you just ruined your whole, you'd rather just be broke and actually do things honorably and actually sleep better at night knowing that you're living integral.
I never understood people in the mafia.
Like them killing people and robbing people.
Like, the mafia never understood to me. Like, why would you ever want to be part of the mafia?
Mm-hmm.
It just never made any sense to me because
Mm-hmm.
you can be dead any day. It's like, so is the amount of money that you earn is worth that? And it's just like you could drive a Ferrari and a nice car, but you get your life stuff that you're worried about your kids everywhere they go. It's just like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, no, it's not worth. But you can make a lot of money. Yeah, you can also be dead. Like that's same with gangs. You know.
With the mafia?
Of course, Isaac's like, I can understand.
Perspective on it.
On crime or like?
Well, people who use crime to make money or to benefit from it, right?
Okay.
So the question that they're normally going to ask is, what if I don't get that job? What if I don't get that career? What if I don't blah, 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 blah?
Yeah.
So this is a guarantee, right? So it's very...
But it also talks about your relationship. So Isaac, I don't know if you guys can hear what he's saying. So he's like, so what Isaac's saying, this is more of like, you can understand why people get into crime because it's more of a guarantee. Like, oh, if you do this, you might not be able to get the job or get into the school or get this education. But that becomes, then again, we're talking about gratification again, instant gratification. You get like, you could swallow this pill now, but we don't know how long that life is going to last for you, right? So you're instantly gratifying yourself is like, because I don't know if tomorrow's guaranteed. I'm sorry, that's not the right. You can understand why somebody does it. We're not saying we don't understand it. We get why people are doing it, but that's not the right mentality that I think that people should have, right? Like you go into, if you made $1 million, let's call it $1 billion, and you're a crime boss, and you are not a crime. Let's say you're a banger, and then you meet with Bronston, or you meet with what's his name, Bezos, or you meet with any of these guys. Are you going to, or do you even belong in that same room? Let's be honest. Like, I don't, your dollars might be equivalent, but how you guys got there is two different ways. Like,
but
I would agree with that. Yeah, there is a lot of work to be a criminal. Yes. Okay. I'll give you that. Yes, there is form. Like, so what Isaac's saying is there's a form of education which get there too, but I get that too. But you understand what I'm saying, right? Yeah. Right. Well, could you? So the difference is like a Bezos can talk to an Elon Musk and they can come together and make a legit business and make like $100 million, $1 billion more. Whereas a banker comes in and goes, I want to work with you. Elon Musk is going to look at him like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, I'm not working with you. So the amount of money, you're kind of finite at what you can, like, you can build your business only within your business. You can branch out to other forms of crime, but you can't get into legit. And but that's all. A lot of these guys want to get out of being like the ones that are making the money. The smart ones are trying to get out and trying to get legit. Trying to get legit.
Yeah,
it's not as easy. It's not easy.
Yeah. What do you say to those people who are, they're doing it for the family, right? They're like
it's bullshit.
For example, I was watching. Have you watched Breaking Bad?
Of course.
All right. So remember Walter? He knows he's about.
Oh, we downloaded Netflix during the COVID. Pandemic, that's the first thing we watched. So he's always saying, "It's my family," and his wife was like Scarlett, whatever her name is. I forget her name. Skylar, and she's like, "You're not doing this for us. You're doing this for yourself." Like, he was always doing it because he got the power. He got he was feeling what he wanted to feel. Right? He was supposed to be. I can't remember. I've seen this long. He was supposed to be dying from cancer or something.
And then he regressed.
He regressed, and his whole thing is, I'm doing it for like. No, you could have even. I think she said too. You could have stopped a long time ago. We only needed this, and yet you just went on because. It just went on because of your own ego.
He's trying to get back to Gray Matter, how he got kicked out of his company before.
Yeah.
And now they're $1 billion company. And now he even told Jesse, he's like, I'm in the empire business now, because he looks at the stock ticker and, he's trying to have some level of revenge. Skylar showed him that all that money. There was about like $100 million in the storage.
I watched it,
storage room. It's like, when's enough, right? But at that level, I mean, forgets Walter White, but people who are trying to do things for their family, is it justified to speed things up for the sake of your children? Because, you're the provider and protector, especially if you're as a man. What are your thoughts about that?
But you're also, so if you have a family, you want to show a good example. So what I've talked to some of my agents now, and it's like, right now we're having a hard market. And I said, just remember this. This is the hardest. This is the shittiest you're ever going to feel. This is the least amount of money you're ever going to make. You make it through this. This is going to be you're going to be a story of a legend to your kids. You're going to be talking about like, I remember I was scripted like we could barely make our mortgage payments. We were doing this and that. And now look at us. Isn't that a better story than, what? I couldn't make the payments. So I went and I just went in and became an OnlyFans model and got this. And so I can watch those pictures. The easy way out. And, for some people it's fine to do but I don't think it doesn't serve you well. I'm sorry. It is instant gratification. It just doesn't serve you well. I'm sorry. There's other things you can do, and then people are like, what can you do? I'm like, I don't know what it is. Like, God will have an answer for you. I know I always bring it back to that. It's like, if you pray enough, it's like, you'll get an answer. Like, remember, I didn't want to be a realtor. It wasn't my path. I didn't think I want to stay far away from being a realtor. I just didn't think it was something I could do. I didn't like the industry, blah, blah, blah. But look where I am. And why am I here? I think I'm here because I can help people, right? I think that's ultimately why. Change their perspective of some realtors, helping them, like giving them, not have them having the worst experience I had, like the bad experiences that I had. They will never have that with me. You know what I mean?
Let's bring it to real estate real quick, right? You meet so many people each and every single day trying to buy a house and invest in property. Have you had these conversations with people where they're trying to rush into buying something and you advise them, delay it a little bit. Don't feel the need to jump into this big house.
Of course.
Delay this gratification of wanting to keep up with the Joneses and especially in your life.
We talk about that a lot before we get into it's like, what do you need to, because we'll run the numbers of is that like something you can afford, right? It just, that's what the mortgage broker, we work as a family, right? It's not just, and the way I say that is like, it's not just me pushing properties on the two. We talk to mortgage brokers. What's you guys do the finances. Like, well, I can get you this. What about this? Like, what's going to happen here? Like, it's always a situation where all right, do you need this? And like, and I had one client, they just we were barely able to close on the property because they bought a property. They got a really good deal on it, but they almost couldn't sell their perm property and they could have gone bankrupt. And they went to their higher end budget, which they had told me their budget was $300,000 more. So we had a buffer on it. It ended up being, no, the money that they paid was the buffer. Like, Like, why would you do that? We told at the beginning, like, if I would have known that, I would have never advised you to buy this. Like, and they admitted, like, we didn't know either. Like, we found out, we reran the numbers out. There's certain things that we didn't calculate, and they would cost us to think that we had a higher budget. But that doesn't happen very often. Usually when we say we go disclose everything you have. That way you will know how much you can, and then never ever get to the top end of your budget. And because otherwise you're screwed. There's a little bump in the road, like, and you're not gonna be able to afford it. Just because a bank or a lender can give you X amount of money doesn't mean you take it.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because, especially for people who are looking to get in the market, you have this idea of, you're battling this aspect of time where you have to enjoy, you want to live life and everything. But then there's like these big responsibilities you got to think about. So
Like
it's
kids?
like kids. It's like, oh, like you only live once, so just spend the money on this experiences.
That freaking saying.
And then you're
YOLO, you only live once. Yeah, you die once too, but then there's eternity to worry about. So think about that.
And yeah, so there's like that struggle a lot of people go through. It's like, oh, for the price of a cup of coffee a day, you could be spending on putting down payment for a property, right? It's like, well, like I gotta live right now, like, and that's the aspect of delayed gratification that I think.
Well, then there's another guy, and the other guy saying like, no, enjoy the coffee, but don't go buy the fucking Ferrari. Like there's certain things that you can scrimp. Like, sure, you can make coffee at home, but if it doesn't actually bring like happiness in, and if you're miserable, that's another story, right? Like, I agree to a certain point, like enjoy certain things, but like don't indulge to a point that it's going to be detrimental to your future, right? And that's one of the things I find, like some people when they're renting, right? Like, do you need to be renting a $5,000 home? Like, that's $60,000 out of your pocket. Could you rent a $2,000 property? I'm not telling you not to rent one. What I'm telling you to do is save the money, put it towards something else for a longer term. Like, why do you need a 6,000 square foot home at $5,000 or $6,000 when there's two of you or one of you? Like, like that does, I'm just giving an example. I don't know, just point an example, like, and then the ego comes in. It's like, well, I want it. I can afford it. I'm like, that's not the point. That's never been the point. It's like, well, what's your future, right? It's don't live for, you got to look forward, like look what's beyond it, right? So, and again, that's one of the things we're saying about the watches and stuff too. It's like, when you look at that, it's like, what's the longer term? Like, are you buying it now? What's going to be the value of it later on?
There's a level of being pragmatic, but also wanting to enjoy in the moment too. There's like different levels of, and I've seen it too, like with family, like rash decisions that have costed like, decades of things that you've done in the past because of feeling the need to compete with people. Like, seeing it with uncles too. I've seen it with family, like bad investments just because you feel like, yeah, I'm at that age. Like, I got to make this investment.
We've seen people, we have close friends that we know that they're bankrupt. They're just barely scripted. Like, they're literally borrowing as much as they can from everybody just to keep afloat. Why? Because they see other people doing other stuff. They thought they can do it as well, and they made some really bad decisions, didn't run the numbers the way they're supposed to, and they're still working on it. Let's put it that way. Like, hopefully there's a light at the end of the tunnel. They've seen their way. Hopefully they've learned, but it happens a lot more than you think. I'll wrap up with one of these too. Like, I remember talking with Jason, and he's like, he had a doctor and he wanted to pull equity from his property. He kept pulling equity. He's like, well, why? Because he just did a $100,000 renovation. He goes, oh, that was 2 years ago. My wife wants to do another one. And these guys were making a shitload of money. He's like, well, they walked into another property. He saw they liked something else. So they ripped out a brand new kitchen just to make it happy for the wife. And then she wanted to do 2 years later, just rip it all out again. And it was like, why? And it was just because keeping up what the neighbors had. And it's like, it didn't add value to the property, actually caused them, because now they're further in debt if they just would have sold the house and bought something else. Again, because their ego got in the way, they wanted what somebody else has. And those type of people, like, they will never be happy. You can have the latest thing, and it reminds me of American Psycho. You ever watch it with Christian Bale?
Christian Bale, yeah.
And it was about the business cards. He thought he had the best card, and he was just like cringing that somebody else came with a better one. And it was like, it's always going to be that way. There's always going to have somebody else better. You got to kind of look at your own accomplishment and say, like, okay, I'm happy with what I am. Like, this, it is. And later on, like, if you want to upgrade, like, a little later on, but it doesn't need to be instant right now. You'll never, ever keep up.
Yeah. Have you seen that Scotty Scheffler press conference where he's talking about how him playing golf doesn't really matter? where, he works his whole life to win a golf tournament. He wins the Byron Nelson, which is like the tournament in Dallas where he grew up. And after that, the feeling only lasts for like 2 minutes. So, oh, here's a trophy, here's a check. And then his wife's, okay, like, what do you want to have for dinner? Right. And he thinks that by winning all this tournament, by being the number one golfer, is going to give him this sense of accomplishment. But he actually brought it back to God, and he's like, there's more to life than just being a top golfer. There's more to life. He thought that's actually going to give him the gratification, but I think the gratification that he gets is from his family, from his kid, and a bigger purpose.
Would you look at that? Surprise.
And people, and Tom Brady was trying to compare.
How much gratification do you think Tiger Woods had with all those women? And now look at him now.
Like the addiction, you know what I'm saying? Just you're chasing that big, you're chasing the dragon pretty much. But as the workshop is wrapping up, one thing I wanted to say too is just like the Bible verse that I kept thinking over and over when we're talking about crime was, you can help me out here, but what more is a man to gain the world but lose a soul? Jesus said that. Like all this money you're going to get from crime and.
Well, that's also what he talks about. If you look at the music industry, people like they're, give out their soul and they do the devil's work. And it's like
gratification.
And then you've heard all these people that means nothing to them. They have the whole world. They have all the fame and they're miserable. And that's why you see a lot of these actors like always in alcohol. They're addicted, right, to alcohol, drugs and stuff too, because it's like it's no longer fulfilling. Because they had to give up your soul to do that. Like, remember, we're supposed to be of this world, not in this world. And that also means, saying no to some certain pleasures, which could be detrimental to your health and your soul, including fame, which some people like, again, there are certain institutions, you can't get to a certain level or a certain degree unless you do some depraved acts. And that was the whole thing with Diddy as well, right? Like they were saying, well, yeah, they've heard about their stories about them too. Like you want to get this contract? You have to have sex with this little boy in front of a camera so we have something on you. And it shows that you're willing to do anything. And that's just some of the issues that they're having. And I'm just paraphrasing from one of them, but that was some of the stuff that was going on.
Yeah. I think this problem is something that it's innate in human nature, that it's a part of you, because with the struggles of life when they come, things will come up where you want to take the easy way out. And I think that's a true test. I think God's testing you. Do you really want it this way? And I think also the devil is testing you by like asking for shorter corners.
Well, Chris and my mom and I are reading Job right now.
Job, yeah.
And about, Job is in the Bible, the book of Job.
Yeah, of course.
About him, like he had everything, and then the devil went to God and said, oh, he's only worshiping you because he has everything. Let's take everything away from him and see what he has. And he's kind of like, he's down in the dumps, but he's never cursed God and stuff too. And it's like at the end, he ends up getting more, tenfold than he had. But it was again, it's a test, right? Maybe in a test, but it's true, right? Once you have everything taken away from you, all these negative things happen to you, who are you blaming? And that's why I don't understand when people like I lost my dad, at a young age. He was young, and I'm like, I never blame God for that. Sorry, I just don't. Instead, I look at him like I'm grateful for the lessons he taught me and the time we had for him here. But I also learned I don't want to die at that age. I want to make sure my kids have me for much longer and bother them. I want to see my great grandkids, children if I can, right? But again, the lessons you learn in life, sometimes comes from the negative thing.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Well, hope you enjoyed that episode, everybody. Let us know what you think. We're going to cut up some clips about this and engage with us. Is delayed gratification something that you struggle with, and how you coping with it? And we'll definitely see you in the next episode. Bye, everybody.